Everybody. It's Monday morning, and my connection is unstable here. Awesome. You guys are doing well. So we're off on the weekend, back to this next week, getting things started. I just finished live streaming on Facebook. That was a lot of fun, just kind of hanging out and chatting with you guys, and figure we'll hop on and do the same thing here on YouTube. I'm about to get started with my week here, working on. I want to finish up V1 stuff. I still want to do the review of the detector. I'm going to go ahead and start working on that after we finish this video. So I want to start working on the article version of the V1 review. I'll do the video version eventually as well. And I still want to do the tutorials on how to program the V1 directly, V1 driver videos, JBV1 videos, that kind of stuff. And then I kind of want to just move on. I feel like I've been talking about the V1 for quite a while lately. And don't get me wrong, I like it. It's a great detector, of course, but I also just like covering lots of different things, and we've been focused on that. And I think just with all the pandemic stuff shut down, my productivity's been way down and everything too. And I'm like, I love doing this. I love playing with lots of different detectors. So I kind of want to move on and play with other stuff too. It looks like Valentine, people on the forums are saying that it looks like they are actually starting to reopen this week. So all of the detectors that have been broken in some way, we're starting to see even more issues. This thing is, I like the detector, but I've never seen a detector that's had this many different problems. It's kind of crazy. I'm really surprised. I'll talk about that in the full review, but looks like luckily they are starting to reopen and starting to take care of the people first who have affected detectors, and then they're going to start after that shipping out new detectors that people have been ordering. So yeah, I love the shirt. Yeah. So I've been actually ordering some of the merch. I just started doing it, so I'm just checking it out. So just trying like different colors and textures and mugs and stuff. So I've just been playing around with it. It's been kind of fun. One of the things besides just doing this endless treadmill of video. So that's been a fun thing. Hey, what's up, everybody? Good to see you guys. The new V1 sucks. So that's an interesting thing. I don't think the detector sucks. I think it's a great detector that has a lot of pretty serious hardware issues. Everything from the display peeling off to the display itself failing to power issues. Some of these soldering doesn't look that great under the hood. There's just a surprising number of things that, I don't know, it's like quality control and reliability is not there, but the detector itself in terms of performance and filtering and the Bluetooth integration is fantastic. So it's kind of an interesting thing to where as long as they get this initial stuff taken care of, I think it'll be a great detector. But yeah, it's definitely got some issues at launch. And you guys are saying, yeah, it seems like it was rushed. That was weird because they weren't selling a detector for a year almost, I think 11 months or something, and they could have kept waiting. I don't know. I know they've been doing some testing, but it's just surprising, especially when we've been so used to like rock solid, reliable V1s, and then to have all the stuff happen with the new Gen 2. We're like, dude, this is a little surprising. This is not what we expected. So I think it's been a pretty big surprise to everybody. So I'm hopeful that like as they get all this stuff figured out, then the detector will start to give us more of the reliability we've been used to with the Gen 1, because again, I think it's a good detector, just it's not reliable and solid yet, but I think it will be. But we'll have to see kind of how that actually plays out, So as things, I guess, start to improve here and they start reopening, that should be really good. What's up, Bobby? Jerry, the R7 was taking market share. Yeah, and that thing, it keeps dropping in price. I think it's down to like $429 now or something. I'll take a look. Where is it now? I was just looking yesterday. The price on that thing keeps dropping. $414 now on Amazon. It's crazy. So you were just watching all this stuff drop, and we're like, dude, it's now lower than the Pro M. It's getting down to like where the R3 used to be at $399. Now the R7 at $414 or something. So it's just crazy watching the price of the R7 drop. And there's been discussions on why does that happen with companies not sticking to MAP. And there's kind of this race to the bottom in terms of price with different distributors like, oh, I'll sell the detector for 1 cent less on Amazon or $1 less so that you'll buy mine instead of somebody else's. And it just drives down the price of the detector, which is crazy. I paid close to $600. Yeah, it launched at $600 and now it's down to almost $400. So I guess that's good if you want to buy one now. But it also is kind of making an interesting dynamic of like, okay, well, it's cheaper than the Max 360, the Pro M, the V1 Gen 2, a lot of other detectors. And just based on price alone, I think that's an interesting thing. I know the Max 2, I was actually just looking, is still on Amazon for $279. And that detector was one that was supposed to be discontinued a couple years ago. And that's actually an interesting kind of dynamic against the R3, which is also just under $300. And it's like, well, that has auto lockouts. I'm not sure if the lockups have been completely resolved with the Max 2. And so the range isn't as good as the R3, but you've got better BSM filtering. I don't think MRCD has been added to the Max 2. I'm not sure. But anyway, that one still seems to be available too. So just interesting stuff watching as things change over time. But anyway, yeah, V1 Gen 2, I'm looking forward to like kind of finishing up all the videos that I want to do on it. And then kind of moving on to other stuff. I don't know. Cobra's got some new stuff. I could check out what they're doing, or even the Road Scout I've been wanting to do, the radar detector dash cam combo. I'd like to take a look at that one too. I know Cobra has their new $150 detectors. Take a look at that. How does it compare to maybe the DFR7, which was also supposed to be discontinued forever, but you can still find it now for like $169 or something on Amazon. So it's just weird to see kind of what happens with discontinued detectors that don't go away because they still sell really well at lower price points. So I don't know. Cobra. Yeah, with Cobra, I'm curious, honestly, like, okay, I'm not expecting the range to be dynamite, like the new, what is it, the 480i or something, but it does have the Bluetooth functionality. And I saw somebody actually mention that it looks like it does have GPS lockout functionality. I mentioned in one of my videos that I didn't see it advertised in any of their marketing or promotional material, but somebody who owns one says it looks like it does offer it. And if it does, you've got auto lockouts for $150. Hey, I'm not expecting amazing results in terms of performance, but if it's using some of Escort's technology for the BSM filtering and it's not falsing a ton, and it's also not leaking to cause false alerts to other nearby radar detectors, that's addressing some of the biggest issues with it. I mean, for $150, I'm not expecting anything amazing, but if you've got lockouts and decent BSM filtering and it's not falsing everybody around you, hey, it could be an option. So I'm really curious about that. My doggy wants to come up into my lap. Say hi, Albus. Say hi, buddy. Hi, everybody. Let's see. Race back from my COVID drive to watch this. How are you guys doing with COVID? I know that's a thing. Has anybody gotten it, or do you know anybody who's gotten it? Looks like my grandma on my mom's side does have it. She tested positive and she did have a fever, but she's, I guess, getting better, which is awesome. Thank goodness. I did have a friend who his grandma actually died a few days ago from COVID. That sucks. It was really sad to see that, so like, it's just things are happening, but I hope you guys are doing okay. Let's see. My accountant got it, but recovered. Oh, thank goodness, Matt. I'm glad your accountant recovered. Yeah, it's great to see that not everybody is dying, of course. This is just a crazy thing. Yeah, 28J Wicks. What's the main police or band police use in the Seattle area? I see primarily 33.8 by Washington State Patrol, but I am seeing more 34.7 and 35.5, especially from different local police. Kirkland uses 35.5 and K-band. Bellevue uses 34.7. I see all of it. There's no X-band here, but it's mostly KA, a little bit of K-band. Like I'll see K-band in Issaquah. I think Everett runs it. I've seen it in, I think Kirkland I mentioned. So there's some K-band that's kind of around. But it's mostly KA, and of course, laser is in use here as well. Brian, do you offer private consultation for radar and laser setups? I do. If you go on my website, vortexradar.com, and just click at the top, there's a link for private sessions. You can schedule a private session. Normally, most people do those if you want to do like a fully installed system for custom installed radar and laser and placement and all that. So we just go over everything. So if you want to do all that setup configuration, blah, 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 you can just do that. And that's how we do the private consultation stuff. Let's see, Braxton, best budget Uniden radar detector. I usually recommend the DFR7 because it's still available for $169. You can find this just on my website. If you click at the top, best radar detectors, you'll find the link. So DFR7 for $169. R3 is just under $300 now. I think I saw it at like $289 or something. So those are usually kind of the ones that I'm going for. The DFR9 I'm not as huge of a fan of because it's like 20 or 30 bucks less than an R3, and the R3 is a much better detector. So DFR7 at a lower price point is the way to go, or R3. Bernie, have a niece whose father got it and had to be placed on an induced coma while on ventilator. He did recover though. Wow. Thank goodness. I'm so glad he recovered too. Like, this is awesome news to see that people are able to recover from it. Because yeah, I guess we're all still learning how crazy this is, Mr. Smith, should I buy the R3 or DFR9? Chances are R3. If you go look on my website, I actually have an article talking about that as well. I kind of go over pros and cons of R3 versus DFR9. Overall, the R3 is going to be better. The DFR9 does have a few advantages because it is a newer detector, so they added a few things that the R3 doesn't have, like an ambient light sensor. But overall, the R3 is going to be a better choice, especially because DFR9 is still kind of expensive and the R3 has come down in price, so they're fairly close. But again, take a look at the article on my website. I should probably start putting together a list of all the stuff that we're talking about so I can update the video description after we finish this video. But let's see. R3 versus DFR9. So other things that I'll add in here afterwards. Kevin, any tips and tricks for the R7 that might be helpful? Take a look at my setup guide, maybe go over some of the settings to optimize it. Maybe turn on K-Block or something to help with Honda and Acura falsing. But there's not a ton, I guess, of tips and tricks with it. Just kind of customize it settings-wise, and there you go. V, love your videos. Good, thank you. I'm glad you enjoy them. They're fun for me to create, too. I was actually thinking recently, like, what do I want to do with this channel? What do I enjoy and what do I not enjoy? And I'm like, I want to get back to what I enjoy, which is just geeking out and being a radar detector nerd and like customizing and playing with this kind of stuff. Like, I'm not interested in being a salesman and doing like, what's the best radar detector of 2020? Like, those are good. I get it. They're good for business. And a lot of people want to come here and they're like, I just want to know, I don't want to geek out on radar stuff. What's the best radar detector? So I do those videos too, and I get how important they are, but that's not what I enjoy. I'm not here to like sell people stuff. That's not what I want to do. I love geeking out on this and just learning how it works and sharing it with people. So that's the stuff that I want to spend the most of my time doing here, even though maybe not as many people would want to watch that. And I'll do 30-minute videos on just one little obscure topic or something, because I don't know, I love that. So that's the stuff that I do. Anyway, before going off on a tangent too much, back to V's thing. I've been a hardcore escort user for 10 years. I ended up buying an R7 a few weeks ago because of you, and I'm in love with it. Great. I'm glad you're enjoying the detector. That's all I care about. I don't care what detectors people run, to be honest. Like, I just want you to enjoy it. If you want to run an escort, a Redenso, a Uniden, a Cobra, even if you're happy with it and it works well and it does the job, like, that's what's important, just to enjoy the experience and to get the protection that you need, you know? That's all I really care about. It's the enthusiasm for the hobby, not what radar detectors you run. And I know some people they have their favorites, brands or models or whatever. That's cool. We're all going to have our favorites, but yeah. Mr. Smith, it's a hobby I'm trying to get into. Awesome. Yeah. Let me know what else you're curious about. It's an interesting hobby, and there's only so much good information. I know I've got my channel here and my website. There's also the forums. This is a great place to just chat, talk about radar detectors. That's one of my favorite places to hang out. RDF. So it's a good thing. Let's see. Obeer, hoping for widespread serological testing. Which one is a serological testing? Is that to see if you've had it in the past and now you have the immunity, or you have the, what's it called? The antibodies built in? Is it that one? Because that would be really cool to see. And I know they're still discussing on whether or not, if you've had it before, like you can antibody testing. If that means you're immune to it and for how long. And WHO said recently that's not the case, which sucks, I guess. But yeah. Let's see. My favorite radar detector du jour is the one most likely to save my ass at any given moment. Yeah, that's the thing. I agree with that. They're just tools. They're beeping boxes. Yeah, it's a box. You stick it on your windshield, you plug it in, and they all have their own pros and cons. So whichever tool works best for the job, makes you happy, run that one. Whatever. Like, yeah. I bought an R7 for my mind. For peace of mind. It's a great detector. I mean, that's kind of becoming like, and that's Uniden's thing, like best bang for the buck, right? Whether it's DFR7, R3, or R7, that's a lot of detector for the money. And I totally get it. It's great. Yeah. Cole, what do you think of the DFR7? I think it's the best detector you'll find under $200. Yeah. And it's supposed to be discontinued and replaced by the DFR9. But if you're just going for a budget detector under the $200 price point, there's not really much that's better. Maybe the new Cobra, I don't know in terms of performance or BSM filtering, but it's also got lockouts through the phone. We're testing, instead of just writing it off altogether. Test it, we learn, we try stuff, see what it's like, Icy Doug, any idea when Thea will be out and the price, under $1,000? Good question. So I know they've been asking about this on the forums, and John has commented that, yes, Thea has been delayed just with the pandemic. I think they lost 1 or 2 months of development time, but they're still on track for a 2020 release. A lot of the guys are actually able to work from home now, software developers, and continue the development for Thea. So even though this is all going on, they're still able to do the development. So thank goodness, because I'm looking forward to it. I was just talking to somebody who private session, he was trying to figure out how to quiet down the Max 360C. And I was like, well, there's only so much you can do. I mean, if you turn on TSR, enable auto learn, GPS lockouts and your low speed muting and auto mode, there's only so much you can do. All of these detectors are still going to false to K-band. And that's just one of the things that we're hopeful for Thea to remedy, is if it can actually just fix the K-band falsing stuff. Like, that's the main thing. Everything else, if it's got longer range and open API and Bluetooth and open source and all, is fantastic. Don't get me wrong. But really, I think the main question is if it can just fix the stupid K-band falsing stuff. That's it. So if you can just plug it in and it alerts when it's a real officer and it's quiet otherwise to give us that dream, that's all we're hopeful for. So we'll just have to test it and see what it's like when it comes out. Hopefully it's a solid hardware release too, and it doesn't have some of the issues we've seen with previous, current detectors from other manufacturers. Even Rodenso, they've got some issues with their current detectors. So I'm just really hopeful that it's also a reliable and solid detector, which we may not see initially. We may have to drive around for a little while and start to discover some of these issues. But I'm hopeful that it's not only awesome in terms of its capabilities, but it's also a reliable detector that you can trust to alert you when you need it. It doesn't shut off or whatever, So I was actually thinking recently, I want to get the USB-C cable hardwired into my car. I'm like, I want to do that. And I've got some other things that I want to maybe add into my car. So should I drive back down to Music Car in Portland and get them to run the cables and do some other modifications that I want to do? So I've actually been thinking about that this morning. Hey, if you guys in Music Car are watching, I'll probably shoot you an email later. What's up, Nick? Yeah, those guys down there are amazing. Tom, who does TJ, those guys are fantastic. So let's see. Jerry, there shouldn't be such a thing as a budget for a radar detector. I mean, I guess if there's no such thing as a budget, they can just charge whatever they want, like Stinger. Just charge thousands and thousands of dollars. But I guess just realistically, we all have a budget, on detectors. And I don't necessarily like the cheap low-end stuff, because a lot of times you really do get what you pay for here. And a lot of times the low-end detectors just suck. They just do. But it'd be nice to have more options that are affordable and still good. I guess Unitons are the traditional pick for that. But yeah, usually you need to get something a little nicer. Sebastian, my F90 M5, great choice, by the way, good car, is getting interference with the V1 now. What is it falsing to? Is it K-band? Is it laser? Is it maybe your phone that's falsing? I've seen a couple people who've had car falses with their detectors. I've been having my Blackview DR900S falses. It causes 34.7-ish falses on my V1. It also does on my R7. Depending on where the detector is mounted, if I have it on the blend mount, right behind the dash cam, it'll false. If I move it up by the rearview mirror, it alleviates that issue. So placement seems to be a factor here. But yeah, there's a number of things that can cause issues with your detector: dash cams, your cars, your phones, things like that. Speaking of which, I actually am getting the new Blackview DR900X coming in to take a look at it and test it out. I'm not sure when it's supposed to be released, but there are some changes primarily to the high heat tolerance stuff, and I'm looking forward to testing it out and replacing my DR900S with the 900X. So they shared a little bit as far as the changes to GPS and Wi-Fi and high heat tolerance and stuff, which once I've got more information to share, I definitely will. But I'm looking forward to testing it out and playing with it. And I still got to do my reviews too. Backlogged on VFO A129 Pro, awesome 4K dash cam on a budget, and also the ThinkWare U1000, which I'm a little less enthused about, but it's got some nice improvements over maybe some of the other dash cams. So yeah. Let's see. Mr. Smith, has there been many moments where a budget detector missed something big that the higher end detectors picked up? Yes. So I guess to summarize that quickly, the two main differences between low end detectors and higher end ones: range. In ideal situations, even low end detectors are still going to give you enough range. If we're talking flat open straightaways and the officer's just using constant on, even detectors without a ton of sensitivity can still give you enough range to alert before the officer can detect your speed. But if you're in situations with curves or hills or trees, things that can block and absorb the signal, or if the officer is using instant on and turning his gun off periodically, you need a sensitive detector that can pick him up way up at a distance. And that's going to be a big difference between the lower end and higher end detectors. Also, the higher end detectors have better false alert filtering. They're not perfect, but they're much better at filtering out false alerts. So funny comment. I'll comment on that in just a second. So those are the main differences. They can So lower end detectors will work in ideal situations, but they're not going to have the greatest range, and they're going to false more. So depending on your tolerances for range and all that kind of stuff, yeah. And HPB Smith, you're wearing an advertisement for a radar detector. I can't imagine that you're getting paid by those folks. I'm sure. I'm not. This is my new Vortex radar logo, by the way. This is not a radar detector company. I've just been working on getting merch, and I've got some samples in like different colors and stuff, and mugs and all this kind of stuff. No radar. I'm not advertising a radar detector company. So if you want merch, I've started doing that now. I'm experimenting with it, trying it out. So yeah, that's should be linked down below the video description or below the video. But yeah, I guess that's the thing too. People think sometimes I'm sponsored by different radar detector companies and I'm biased because I'm recommending Uniden. And then, oh, I like the Valentine one. Mike V must be paying me under the table. And then I recommend the ALP. And then like, ALP must be sponsoring you. And then if Thea comes out and it's great and it fixes the false alert issues, Vortex must be sponsored by Redenso. And it's like, sure. I think that just kind of comes with the territory and like, whatever. I think there's a lot of people online who actually are sponsored, and I totally get the concern. You think the reason that I'm recommending a product is because the company is paying me to say good things about them. Like, no, there's not a single company that pays me for that. I do affiliate sales. So if you buy a detector using one of the links on my website, it does give me a percentage that helps me continue doing this. Some detectors like the V1, I don't have a way of doing that, but if it's a good detector, which I think it is, I'll happily recommend it just the same. If it has issues, I'll tell you that. If it does things well, I'll tell you that too. Like, again, I just want you to run whatever detector is best for you. That's all I care about. I want you to enjoy the hobby. It's not about me trying to screw you guys over and making as much money as I can at the expense of you guys and selling my soul for the sake of making a buck. Like, that's not what I'm about. I love the hobby. I just want you guys to be informed and educated. And yeah, but I'm sure I'd make a lot more money if I was like, yeah, sure, companies pay me and I'll recommend your product and just I'll tell you guys it's the best because they're paying me a lot of money. Like, I think that comes with the territory, and it just comes, yeah, if you do online reviews, people always think that. So it's understandable. I don't fault you guys for thinking that. Let's see, the Hidden Archives. Hey, what's up, man? I got the V1 Gen 2 and I love it so much. Great. How are you liking it? What are your favorite things about the Gen 2 over the Gen 1? Jerry Penna. What I mean is, if it's $100, just get the best. The R3 is better than the DFR7. Don't be one of those that goes to Walmart and spends $129 and then mounts it facing the sky. There's a lot of people that do that, and hopefully they'll eventually start doing a little bit of research, and maybe they'll find my channel. Hopefully they read the manual where it says to mount it straight or whatever. But yeah, I hope people. There was a guy in California actually. He was running a K40 and he got pulled over, and they posted this on Facebook. He, I think, jammed a gun, a CHP officer, and they found his jammers in his car and gave him a laser jammer ticket. Forget exactly how much it was. I think it was like $125 or something. And I'm like, dude, run good laser jammers, but even if you want to run something like K40s, it can still work against some jammers. Shut them off. Turn them off. Like, by default, I think they're actually unlimited jam time. I'm like, dude. So I wish people would at least do their research and learn a little bit about these tools of, like, not only what's the best one, but how do you use it properly? Turn off your jammers once you get shot. Like, I don't know. That stuff happens. That's the stuff that I'm more interested in, is like using your tools properly and understanding how they work and what do you do behind the wheel. You don't just plug it in and let it run. I mean, I guess you can. I know a lot of people want the plug and play experience, but ideally learn your stuff. So HBB Smith, great conversation. Peace. Thanks for the explanation. You're welcome. Yeah, and thanks for asking. I'm totally open and upfront about this, and like I'm big on being transparent. So if you're concerned about something, tell me. I mean, we'll discuss it. I don't have anything to hide here. Whatever. Let's see. Jeff Sanders. I think you should do a video and ride along with Daily Driven Exotics or Savage Garage YouTubers. That'd be fun. I'd love to do that. Yeah, shoot them a message too. I'd be happy to do some collaborations. They're always fun. So we could totally do that too. I'd be up for it as well. Doing some videos on testing out their car or helping them do an install on their car, or I don't know. It'd be fun. I'd totally be open to it too. Maybe once, I know if they're not here in the Seattle area, they'd have to travel, and that's a little bit tough right now with the stay-at-home orders. Here in Washington, we just got an extension in our stay-at-home orders until May 31st, another month. So we're hanging out here at home. So travel is still kind of chill. I'm still kind of taking a break from even doing any local testing right now, just for the time being, to be safe. So Jason, I heard the Batman detector is an awesome low-end detector. That thing gets advertised a bunch. I think it's just people buying them on Alibaba for like $10 or something and marking them up to like 20 or 30 or 50 or something. And those things get advertised a lot. They are bad detectors. Like, they're junk. They're just junk. There's no other way to say it. And yeah, I guess that's what a lot of the stuff comes down to. Like, are you in this because you love radar detectors and you want to share good quality information? Or are you somebody who's just into it because you're here to make a buck and you don't really care about radar detectors or what you're selling? You just want to make money. I get it. We all need to make money to pay the bills, but like, what's your passion? What do you want to accomplish here? So different people want different things, I guess. Hero of mine. What do you think about the V1 Gen 2 versus the Unit and R7? I've actually done a video just about that. Search my YouTube channel. I did one a few weeks ago or something, and I went into detail about those two detectors specifically because that's been such a popular question. So yeah, take a look at that. Jacksonville just reopened part of the city because deaths are low here for the virus. Awesome. I'm glad to see. This is a tough thing, isn't it, to find a balance between where do you shut down everything for safety and where do you reopen so that people can still pay the bills and have some sort of functioning economy. And it's tough to find the balance, you know? There's not one size fits all answer. And yeah, no, that's what we're all searching for. They're starting to reopen here a little bit. Like now some of the state parks are opening up so you can kind of maybe go walk in the park or something, but still do social distancing. So just trying to figure out the right balance with all this. Danner, do you have any information on the upcoming DR900X video quality upgrade? I do, and unfortunately, there shouldn't be any improvement to video quality. They told me specifically it's going to be the exact same video quality as a DR900S. I was hopeful that it would offer improved video quality to be up on the level of like the U1000 or the A129 Pro. That doesn't look like it's the case. Something that I am curious though is my DR900S. I want to do like a side-by-side. I'll put both on the windshield, the S and the X, and drive and see if they're the same video quality. One thing that I've been curious about in the back of my head is I did the video about, how the VFO and the ThinkWare have better video quality than the Blackview. I'm curious if I've seen diminished video quality in any way from the Blackview. I don't think so because I've seen similar stuff and complaints and sample videos from other people showing similar results to what I'm seeing. But I'm curious to see, like, let's get a DR900X and see. Blackview, it says it should have the same quality as the S. But will I see any improvement just because it's new? And did I see any degradation in video quality from the S just because I've owned it since it came out? I don't know. But I'm curious to test that just to kind of verify to some extent the results. And yeah, so I'm curious about that. But short answer, no, there shouldn't be any improvement in video quality specifically. There are other improvements to heat tolerance, GPS, Wi-Fi, stuff like that, but not to video quality. Let's see. Ralph J. What app should I run on my phone when using the V1 Gen 2? If you're an iPhone user, V1 Driver, OBeer is on it. If you're an Android user, JBV1 is a great option. If you want something more backgrounded and you don't want to really mess with it, you can always run V1 Driver. I did a video, my latest video actually goes into this stuff in detail. So you can do V1 Driver or JBV1 for Android, but it kind of depends more on if you want like a truly backgrounded phone experience or if you want the phone more visible and you're looking at it. So, I mean, you can run JBV1 in the background too, and you can run V1 Driver up on the screen to look at it too. But maybe it's like a simple way to try to differentiate them. Chris, when will the new Redenso come out? Sometime 2020. We don't know when. Instant on discussions. Let's see. Yep, you guys are on it too. You guys are doing a great job here in the comments too, answering questions and asking questions as well. So thank you. That's great. Instant on discussion. Yep. Sensitive detector and have a rabbit so that you can pick up instant on shots for a car, quarter mile, half mile up the road. That's your defense against instant on. You would think the dash cam and radar detector makers would want to hire you as a consultant. I've had that offer from several companies, both several radar detector companies and several dash cam companies. And I think about it sometimes and I'm like, that would be nice. I could come on and help you guys build something awesome and give my input. But I really want to maintain my position as being the objective, unbiased third-party tester and not having any sort of affiliation directly with any brand and not being responsible for any detector. I'll do some beta testing for different detectors to maybe help try some things out, and I'll happily give them my feedback, or I'll do videos talking about what my dream detector would be like in terms of features and performance and filtering and design and all. But then it's like Escort or Uniden or Redenso or anybody else wants to build it, just go out and build it. I don't want to be like, well, I helped build it, so therefore I feel more of a a personal affinity for it, or I'm going to have some sort of unconscious bias, or I've been paid to help develop it. And because I just really, really want to be the person who can just sit back and take a look at all of them as objectively as I can and do the best job that I can in that regard. For that reason, I've chosen not to help the company directly build the detectors, even though I do help with some beta testing and discussion and brainstorming and sharing feedback and stuff. If they want to. If they don't, cool. They don't have to use my help. If they want to, great. If not, cool. Totally fine. But yeah, that's, I guess, the story on that. Patrick Hunter, how difficult is it to install the ALP sensors? Depending on the car, you can do something simple to where you just use double stick tape and slap them onto your cars, peel and stick install. ALPs have some brackets, so you can like screw the brackets somewhere into the car, and then the brackets will allow you to position the head somewhere. Sometimes you may have to like cut the grill. It really depends on the car as far as the difficulty of installation and also how good of an install you want. And are you going to maybe take the time to verify placement with the heads? And a lot of times you get guns to actually test to make sure the placement is good, the heads are mounted properly. I do have some information on my website that goes over all the stuff in detail on where the heads should be installed, how far apart they should be positioned, orientation of the heads, how far front or back, like all that kind of stuff. I go over on my website to give you guys kind of a head start and a good idea on what's a good install. But ideally, yes, once you get everything done, you're going to want to get a laser gun. I've got some on the shelf there, and test it for yourself to verify and just ensure that everything is working properly. If you don't have one, you can try to find maybe a tester on the forums. You can buy a used inexpensive one on eBay or on the forums. Like there's ways to go into the testing yourself, but that's kind of the process for the installation. You can go as crazy fancy as you want. You can do something super simple and do it yourself. Of course, depending on your comfort and skill level and also your car. Chris Williams, what's a good replacement for the Escort X70? Well, I'm going to turn the question back to you. What do you like about the X70 and what do you not like? Do you wish it had something else? Do you like certain features that you want to maintain? So what is it about the X70 specifically that you're wanting to upgrade and what do you want to keep? Then maybe we can have a little bit better discussion on just, instead of just a generic, better radar detector question. What's up, Amrit? Good to see you. Let's see. People will be really disappointed if they get caught by a cop with a radar detector. You told them to use it. Yeah, I mean, there's no way to become, of course, completely immune to that. And I don't want to set false expectations. Like, these things aren't going to make you bulletproof. You can definitely still get a ticket with the best countermeasures in the world and know everything about it. And it's still possible to get a ticket. Like, there's no way to be completely immune here. And that's just the reality. I always kind of think it's like birth control. You know, birth control may be 99% effective, but it's not 100% effective. But it's still better than not running or not using birth control at all. Same kind of thing, you know? So, Patrick, it's a Jetta. If you've got questions about placement, you can always post pictures of your car in the forums. There's a section of the forum for it. And people can actually give you recommendations on where the jammer should go in your car. So that's an option. Adam, do you think the R7 is worth a $100 premium over the R3? I do. The arrows are definitely helpful, no question. I do like the feel of the R3 better than the R7, and I do like the more compact size. The R3 can't, if you face a lot of MRCD, it can't scan pretty low in the K-band range, so the R7 will have better low-powered radar detection. Wonky firmware update stuff notwithstanding. But yeah, the biggest difference I think is just going to be the arrows. There's other things too. I've done videos and talks on that as well. But the biggest thing is going to be the arrows, I think, realistically for most people. It does seem to be less RDD immune as well, for whatever reason, if that's a factor. Sean, best place to mount radar detector on the windshield? I guess you've got kind of 4 options. Well, there's a couple. My favorite one is up high by the rear view mirror, just high in the headliner, just next to the rear view mirror. That's my favorite spot. It's high for good performance. It's very easy to reach. That's my favorite spot. Some people will maybe want to mount it right smack in the middle of the windshield. I don't like that because you're going to have either a cable hanging up or maybe one going down to the cigarette lighter. It's very obvious to anybody looking at your car. I think this is totally my guess, but I'll sometimes see it in manuals. And I think sometimes radar detector companies might want to do that. So you're always looking at their product and thinking, here's a radar detector, here's a radar detector. It's kind of like a self-advertisement thing. I'm totally making that up. I have no idea if that's even true at all. But I just want it kind of out of the way unless I need it. Then I want it to function. On video, a lot of times I'll actually have it low on the windshield, and that's purely just for video purposes. It's tougher to reach when it's way down in the lower part of the windshield because of the slope of the windshield. But if I have the camera here and the radar detector down there, it's just a good way to be able to see the road ahead and see the radar detector. So that's how you'll see it on videos, but I actually run it a lot of times higher up on the rearview mirror. Mr. Smith, the tint, does it block the signal? Generally, no. As long as it's non-metallic tint, you're A-okay. I've done a video talking about that. Oops, somebody's calling, spam call. Redenso just did a video actually testing this out much more specifically, and they found, yeah, non-metallic tints are fine. So ceramic, whatever, that's okay. Anything with metal-based content can block the radar signal. So just avoid that, and you're fine mounting it behind a tint strip. And then there's discussion of laser sensitivity, which I'm not really going to bother getting into that because, yeah, anyway, I like mounting it higher. Shane, thoughts on Android Auto and Apple CarPlay and radar detector integration? So, spam call. No, it wasn't Redenso spam calling me. I don't know who that was. Whatever. That was, what was the question? I forgot here. Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. The issue is not the apps themselves. It's Apple and Android are extremely restrictive on which apps can be approved for usage with CarPlay and Android Auto. And for that reason, there's just not a lot of apps that are compatible. And something really small like a radar detector app is not going to have, it's not on their radar, pun sort of intended, I guess. It's like an app that would be approved for it. So it's a limitation of Android and Apple restricting it. I'm sure the guys would love to do it. And I've seen some people who do maybe like a tablet in their dash and then will do mirroring from their phone to the tablet. So you can display JBV1 and your tablet on screen or something like that. But for true integration with CarPlay or Android with your OEM stuff, usually that's not available. And you have to use your phone or something. So that's why that is. I know people ask a lot, but I'm sure the app guys would be happy to add it in a heartbeat. It's just if they can get the approval, which realistically they won't. So, Jerry, have you asked Uniden to update their website? Oh, gosh. Uniden, if you're listening, please update your website so that if you search for the R7's firmware update, it shows 1.29 and not 1.24. So many people are like, why is the update not there? It's like, don't search for the update. You need to go to their firmware page and scroll down, and then you'll see it listed at the top. And I wish they would just update it. It must have been an oversight. I hope they do it. So, and yeah, that would be something easy to change. They just must not be aware of it. Maybe I'll make a note here to mention it to them. 1 second. Uniden for website. Okay, I'll add that in. Yeah, Uniden's update process is always just kind of a pain. Both the update software process and the website stuff has never been that seamless. So I'm happy doing the basic tutorials, but it always winds up being just kind of a, oh God, Uniden updates whenever we get into that. I really wish they did a better job with that because that's an important thing. And that was one of the big selling points of the Unidens, especially when they first came out, was how good they were with releasing updates and improving the detector. But the website isn't the greatest. The update process can be problematic for people. Adam, this is an interesting one. How do you feel about the hybrid dash cam and radar detector from Escort versus separate products for each? So usually hybrid products, put my phone on do not disturb here. Usually hybrid products are going to be a trade-off. I guess Escort has two of them primarily. You have the Escort M1 dash cam to kind of attach to an existing radar detector, or you can get an all-in-one solution like the, what's it called? The Cobra Road Scout. So talking about the Escort ones, this is a nice option if you want to add in a dash cam to your radar detector. I like the convenience of having one power cable and one mount and one package for your existing radar detector. I'm not a huge fan of the Escort M1 dash cam. I still need to do a review of it. I just haven't been impressed with it. So yeah, I mean, it's a convenience thing and it's a great way to add in an existing dash cam. I like the idea. I think it's overpriced for what it is. Escort regularly does $20 or $30 sales on it, but $200 for a dash cam when the VFO A119s are way better dash cams, better quality, better features, half the price. You're pretty much just going for the convenience. And Jib Jab, thanks for the super chat donation. We'll go to your question next. As far as the integrated ones, I think it's a great idea. That's even more convenient if you're just starting from scratch and you want a radar detector and a dash cam in one unit. Great. The Cobra Road Scout, I think it's $450, something like that. That's an option that you can do. That's an option. I haven't tested it yet. I believe it's based on the Cobra 90 DSP 9200 BT or something. So the performance was surprisingly good. The BSM filtering hopefully is good. I wasn't impressed by the dash cam itself. I think it was a 1080p dash cam. The video quality was below average, which I guess kind of like the M1, you know? It's just like I like having a really good radar detector and a really good dash cam. And so I would rather have two separate ones that are both really good. And if one needs to be updated over time, I can easily swap one out without having to completely swap out the entire system, you know? But I know a lot of people would just love having one unit. Again, one power cable, one thing on the windshield, one mount, and you can easily move it from car to car or install it or whatever. The convenience is undeniable. So pros and cons, right? It just kind of comes down to what you're used to. So if you're willing to do some of the trade-offs, you can do the integration. So I think it's a cool idea. I'm just not super sold that the video quality is on par with running two separate systems. Jib Jab, how many radar detectors have been stolen from you? I actually have had an STIR Plus, believe it or not, stolen. I had an issue, I think like a GPS error or some sort of connectivity error back in when I had a Hyundai Sonata or something. And I uninstalled the whole system for my car, mailed it back to Escort, and they mailed it back to me. And I'd like authorized the shipment release so they could drop it off on my door. And I came back and it was gone. Somebody walked off with a radar detector, which sucked actually. So that was, I think, the only detector that I've had stolen. I haven't had any of these like windshield mounts stolen or anything, knock on wood. I have had my car broken into twice. I think once in Seattle, once in Vancouver. That sucked. That was, I think, kind of before I got really into countermeasures and stuff. But I did have like a computer stolen, hard drive, and I was traveling, camera equipment, lenses, DSLRs. Like I had one that hurt. That sucked. Camping equipment. That was kind of rough, but yeah, luckily no radar detector stolen other than that. Patrick, just purchased the ThinkWare U1000. Nice. Do you have any recommended settings for the best functionality? Not really at this time. Just go through the settings and configure it the way that you want. Whatever parking mode features you want, run it in 4K. Maybe the only thing is disabling some of the audio alerts. I hate the ThinkWare audio notifications, and I wish you could separate and have just impact detected at parking mode and how many alerts and turn off everything else like connected to the cloud and GPS connected and all that stuff. Like I wish you could separately turn that off the way you can do with Blackview or something and just have, what's it called? The impact detected. And also if there's any sort of memory card issues or you don't have the card inserted because you took it out and you forgot to put it back in, I just want those two things. I don't want everything else, but ThinkWare doesn't give you a good way of doing that. So it's kind of all or nothing with turning off all the audio stuff, which I guess is how I run the ThinkWare. But other than that, not really. Let's see. Bernie, never leave my detector parked in the windshield while parked. Yeah, some people do take it off. That's a consideration. That's one of the reasons why a lot of people like to go for something custom installed, just because then you don't really have to worry about that, you know? But yeah, that is a point of consideration. So, hero of mine. ALP combined with net radar works best. But the annoying part is you need a separate phone for it. You do, if you're using the main phone for music and navigation. I don't like the interface of the NetRadar DSP. I like the detector. It's based off the same platform as what they use as the R3, so the performance is good. And they've got some cool new blind spot filtering stuff that they've added in. But the interface, I'm just not a fan of all the compromises and trade-offs of having a phone, the hi-fi module speaker, and the wired control pad all running off of one port. Like it breaks. Excuse me, I don't know why I'm burping so much. It breaks a lot of the functionality. So the performance is good, don't get me wrong, but I'm just not a fan of the interface and stuff. I wish that was better. If they can improve that, I would be much happier with it. But I got it in my car and I almost sort of never run it. And I usually don't recommend it except for specific situations. But if it works for your situation, it is a good option. It's got good performance for sure. And it's nice if you don't necessarily want to spend the full kind of cash for Renzo RCM or Escort Maxi i360. AOP needs to put out an API. I know. I wish they would. I mean, I know Redenso can integrate with it, but I'd love to see an open API for them too. That'd be amazing. TMG at least integrates with JBV1. I don't know actually why ALP hasn't done the same. I think it's a great idea. I'd love to see them do that. I actually don't know why they don't. Huh. Yeah. Someone like John Boy can make an interface that doesn't suck. They can, yes, but you're still going to be losing like the control pad. You can't use both buttons to mute your radar alerts. I don't think you can use them to lock out signals. But I guess if you have full auto lockouts on the phone, that could help. So the audio alerts, like you break hi-fi functionality, which is really annoying. I love having the dedicated speaker, but I hate the fact that you can't use it if you want to add in the phones. Why didn't they just put a headphone jack in the speaker? I remember asking this when they came out with the new hardware 4 versions of the CPU. Like, why didn't you just put a headphone jack so we could plug in a speaker and then have a speaker and a phone connected simultaneously? Like, that would have been amazing. Basic functionality, but I don't know. Maybe it would have cost too much to I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, all these things have trade-offs. All of them have trade-offs. I know there's been discussions about this on the forums of like, why are there are no dash cams that are completely reliable? And I'm like, yeah, I totally get it. And there's no radar detectors that are completely perfect either. So all these things have trade-offs. Anyway, I should probably get back to start working on my V1 Gen 2 review article. Yeah, I've been looking forward to kind of cranking this out. I was planning on doing like some of the setup videos first for standalone V1 driver and JBV1, but I think I want to wait a little bit longer. Jib Jab, R7 or V1 Gen 2, choose. Different tools for different purposes. V1 if you're cool with the phone, R7 if you're not. Got a whole video about that? Take a look. That's, I think, kind of what it comes down to. V1 has a lot of advantages if you're willing to pair it with the phone. If not, the R7 is better plug and play. Depends on what you want. And there's other things too, RDD immunity, MRCD, other points of consideration too, but that's, I think, probably one of the biggest differences. So anyway, cool. With that said, time to start working here on the V1 Gen 2 review. I've got my outline of topics to discuss and all that. So thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you're staying safe, whether you're still hanging out at home or you're able to start kind of going back into. So yeah. All right. Well, take care, guys, and I will see you later.